I'm not going to lie. I hate games like this. I mean, I don't really even want to talk about it, but the bosses said
we have to.
We're paid to talk about it, so we will, and we're as disgusted as you are. Dang it. It's not how it was supposed to go, but there is a lot to break down. It's the DLLS Rangers Postgame podcast coming next. Okay, thank goodness they play these games every day in baseball because we won't have long to dwell on this one, but we will for the next hour or so. It's the Rangers post-game show on DLLS. John Radigan, Abby Jones here. Jeff Wilson will be joining us from Globe Life Field in a few minutes, and he'll have taken the pulse of this Rangers team. And some of you may be wondering, did they have a pulse? They actually did. They were trying. They gave good effort. They just ran into a guy today who had it going. More on Gausman in just a minute. But we do want to start with what we showed you there at the very beginning, the Rocky outing. And that may be overstating it, but it's a cool play on words. So, sometimes you sacrifice truth.
You got to do what you got to do.
Sometimes you have to sacrifice the truth for a good play on words. But it wasn't like you don't feel as good about Kumar's second outing in the major leagues as you did his first. There are the numbers, Abs.
So this is what we talked about upstairs, and we want to reiterate. Kumar Rocker is facing professional hitters.
Right.
He obviously had his stuff together and was lights out in his debut, but that's because nobody had ever seen him or his stuff at this level before. Kumar Rocker had the advantage. These guys are professional hitters. They were able to take a look at what he did. His slider was exposed. I mean, he calls it a curveball now, but it was exposed, and they had a strategy and a plan against that pitch, and it worked so well today. The numbers are going to speak for themselves, not only in the box score. He only had 7 swings and misses today for a 29% whiff rate. Compare that to his first start, 62%. I mean,
right.
That's a really big difference. And, you're not saying that because this was not like the first outing that this is going to be how it is for him for the rest of the season. Definitely not for his career. But there's going to be some rocky roads, play on words, because his stuff just got exposed. This is the first time that he's seen hitters adjust to his pitches, and now he's got to make the adjustment and learn how to work off that.
That's the key word.
And that's what separates major league from minor league, and I'm excited for his next outing.
Yeah, that is how you stay in the big leagues, right? Getting to the big leagues is such a huge accomplishment, but my buddy Mark McLemore has taught me from the very beginning of the time that we worked together, that is, you don't just get there, you stay there. And if you're going to stay there, the accomplishment is staying there. And if you're going to stay there, you have to make the adjustments. Now, credit the Toronto Blue Jays, credit their coaching staff, credit whoever put in the game plan, and then credit the guys for adhering to the game plan. 27 curveballs or sliders, he likes to call it the curveball. 27 of them thrown today in this outing, and they only swung, took a swing at 7 of the 27. They knew that ball, that pitch, it's so great. Its drop is so significant. They knew that it usually ends up out of the strike zone. So if they don't swing at it, it will be called a ball. That's the beauty of that pitch. For most of the way to the plate, it looks like it's going to be a strike. So you swing at it, and bam, the bottom drops out because of the vertical drop that he has. 42 inches of vertical drop on that slider, right? So that's the key to this game is the fact that the Blue Jays, or at least to his outing, maybe not the whole game, but the fact that the Blue Jays hitters had that plate discipline to realize, okay, this is what he's going to do, and as tempting as it is to swing at this, I can't, right?
Yeah.
And they did a really good job. That is the adjustment that they made today.
Because they are professional
No doubt
hitters,
about it.
No and
doubt.
They're in the same boat as the Rangers. They're not contenders, but there's still there's a job to be done, and you are not going to throw this in the towel, throw in the towel just because you're out of playoff contention at this point. I do think there is a positive that we can take away from Kumar's outing today. He threw just as many fastballs as he did sliders, and that I think is an improvement because he is adjusting slightly, not as much as we want to see, but he does know that he has to throw more than one pitch. He was able to balance those out a little bit today. He had 5 strikeouts total, 1 on a fastball, 1 on a sinker, 3 on his slider. So, you take the wins with the losses. I think this is a really good reality check for Kumar Rocker. He's going to be hard on himself. I'm sure we're going to hear from Jeff about something that he might have shared after the podium, but it also could have been a lot worse. I mean, we talked about how many sticky situations he got out of. He was in a bases loaded situation. Up until the 5th, the Blue Jays were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position.
Right.
So, I'm going to shed positive light where I can.
Sure, and that's nice. And Coop makes a great point. It was fastball command too, right? I mean, if they're not going to swing at your slider, you've got to command the fastball. And he didn't have the fastball command that he did previously in the last game, or that he had it, in that quick trip through the minor leagues. And so a great point by Coop on that. And it would have been better. It would have been a better outing if he'd had that same fastball command. That's one of those things that comes and goes, and it's really difficult. Pitchers don't even know when they're out there in the bullpen getting ready. Sometimes you feel terrible out there and you take great stuff to the mound, or vice versa. And then to Abby's point about him getting out of jams, this might be my favorite stat. We don't have this on the pitching line, but I look at the bottom of my scorebook, and for his 3 innings, the lowest line on my scorebook is left on base. 2, 2, 2. He left 6 runs on the bases, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's working out of jams in each and every inning. And it was just great that, the one strikeout that they thought wasn't a strikeout, and it was like, yeah, you swung, your bat went through the plane. And then he struck out to, end his outing. His last hitter faced was a strikeout. And if you heard the cheering, that was me, because I won my sleeper bet with that one. It was 4.5.
Was cheering along.
It was 4.5. And that was his 5th. So loved seeing him get 5 strikeouts, but most importantly, loved seeing him work out of those difficult situations. Those are learning moments and learning experiences. There's so much that he gathered and took from this game, even though I'm sure, and Jeff will corroborate, it doesn't feel as good as it did when he left the mound after that game in Seattle.
Yeah, no doubt. And, it's going to be a little bit of this pattern. I think, I don't have personal experience being out on the mound as a professional hitter, but I would imagine in the early stages, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, that little cat and mouse game. So like I said, I did see some positives today. There was also things that he knows he needs to make an adjustment on. So it's really just about how quickly he bounces back. But speaking of bouncing back, you hope that Kevin Gossman is going to be all right. He was removed today with lower back tightness, and he was throwing a no-no.
Yeah. He had allowed a walk, but at that point he was a walk away from a perfect game through 5. And amazingly, at the time, of course, we've since gotten the update about those lower back problems. But at the time, we had no idea. We're like, wow, where'd he go? The stuff that he had and the way he was baffling Rangers hitters, that thing might have continued. So, for the Rangers, a good thing that he wasn't, his back was tightened up on him or whatever it was. Now, again, not so good. They only managed 2 more hits off of that relief corps today, but they got him.
Yeah. And, Kevin's stuff was spot on. Jeff stressed how difficult the Rangers, it's a difficult problem for the Rangers to work with a fastball, and that's where he was dialed in today. 26 of his 58 pitches were from the fastball. Interesting enough, though, all of his strikeouts came on a split. So he had 6 total, and they all came on the splitter there. But, 7 swings and misses. So, again, you would have liked to see him compete a little bit more left with the lower back tightness. But, I think give props where props is due to the bullpen, because it was, Rads, I mean, it wasn't a perfect game, but for a while it was pretty dang close. The Blue Jays, their bullpen, second highest ERA in MLB with 4.8. So you see that stat, and you think when he goes out of the game, the Rangers are going to be able to do some damage here, and they really just didn't have that much of an opportunity today.
No, they didn't. And amazing. I must admit, I had lost track of where Dylan Tate had landed, the Rangers' first-round pick, number 4 overall back in 2015. And good for him. He's a good kid, and they didn't work out for him here. But he had a real nice inning for the Toronto Blue Jays today. Dylan came in there and struck out 2 and allowed no runs, no hits, and no walks in his 1 inning of work. So he was part of that, that cadre of 3 other pitchers who finished off the game for Kevin Gossman, who obviously had some fatigue or, some tightness or whatever it was in the back. And, when he's pitched as well as he did today, we'll really hope that as they move on, he feels well enough to go next time out. The Rangers and the Blue Jays, ironically enough, are exactly tied record-wise, right? These 2 teams are sort of in the exact same position right now, both, though, hoping for better health next year, and both hoping that they can sort of, especially the Rangers, live up to the expectations that they all have for themselves. Now, last night we talked about how Cody Bradford did such a great job on Vladimir Guerrero, emphasized today by the fact that Vladdy went cray-cray. It was just unbelievable. This is what you can see from Vladimir Guerrero on any given day.
Yeah, he went yard twice, and one was on the second deck. Yeah. 441 feet on the second home run, exit velo of 110 off the bat. 422 and 109 off the bat. So he's just a monster.
He is. He was on base. On
been.
base 4 times. He 5 plate appearances, on base 4 times today. He had a walk back in the 3rd inning, a single in the 4th, a home run in the 7th, and a home run in the 9th. So, and that one in the 9th, I mean, really, neither one of them they were both no doubters.
Yeah, no doubter.
The first one went into the upper deck and left, but that one that went to straightaway center field.
That was home run derby-ish.
Oh, my gosh, that thing got out of there so quick to straightaway center field. So, that's what you worry about with Vladimir Guerrero, and I think it points once again to just how good the control was and the command was for Cody last night, Cody Bradford, who kept him off balance and basically kept him, obviously off the scoreboard last night.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you would hope to see a little bit more offense from the Rangers today, no doubt. Josh Smith was, it got joyful for a split second, Rads. Josh Smith in the 7th got on base and then quickly thrown out at second.
Yeah, it was, literally, didn't, like he stretched it, tried to turn it into a double and got thrown out. So it was a single for a very, very short time and then thrown out at second. Great throw, great defensive play by the Blue Jays there. Look, they were scrambling. They wanted to at least win 1 in this series. They're headed to Tampa Bay next, and the Rangers obviously were hoping to sweep. Now, with both of these teams at 80 losses on the season, 73 and 80 each, obviously we know that the Rangers, the one we're concerned about, have 1 margin for error if they want to finish at 500, right? So with 9 games left, they need to go 8-1 in order to finish, at even 81 and 81. Probably a tall order, but it's not out of the question. And it's something, look, we've seen this series. We've seen great effort. We've seen great intensity. And we've seen 3 really strangely different games. 13 runs on 13 hits the first night, and the Rangers win a slugfest. Last night was actually fairly similar to this, as the Rangers keep the Blue Jays off the scoreboard and win 2-0. And today, that 4-0 game for the Blue Jays as they sort of turned the table, and they got the better pitching performance today.
Yeah, no doubt. And we will get into Wyatt Langford and his rookie number soon. You guys asked a great question earlier. But, he was, what was it, 7 for 10
In
on
plate
base in this
appearances, yep.
series? Yeah, and he just had an unsuccessful day at the plate as well. So, it's, you're not everyone's going to have their day at the same time. And sounds like collectively a lot of the Rangers just didn't have their day.
Yeah, you tip your cap to their pitcher. We talk more about the Rangers offense and the futility therein today as we come back. And we also will hear from Jeff Wilson. Jeff's there. He is chatting with the principals in this one. He's chatting with Bruce Bochy. He's no doubt looking to chat with Kumar Rocker and perhaps others, although it's not like he needs to go find an offensive hero for the Rangers today. So we'll hear from Jeff in just a few minutes. We will get to that Rookie of the Year handicapping because it's become a much tighter race than you might think. We'll talk about that later. But first, we want to tell you about our new sponsor, Rhoback. Rhoback is fantastic active wear. This is stuff you can wear for golf. This is stuff you can wear for any outdoor activity. And so for golf, one of my favorite things, the polo shirts are like the best wicking shirts out there. Wicking is when, that
Breathable.
shirt, that stuff inside there pulls the sweat away from your body so your shirt won't, cling to your body, and none of us, especially at this age, like that cling thing at all. So anyway, these shirts are fantastic. They're comfortable. They're so easy to move in. And when things aren't sticking to you, it's much easier to move anyway. So, and then they have tons of other stuff too. With the cooler weather coming, they've got some great hoodies that you want to avail yourself to. It's, again, the best technology, the best wicking technology, because, you will sweat in a hoodie. That's why you wear it. You wear it so you're not cold. You start sweating. You want that sweat to be off your body and into the fabric so that the next time you wash that thing, that sweat's all washed away. So I encourage you. These are the best products at the best price. They have wonderful colors. They have wonderful patterns.
They have a game day selection.
Wonderful designs, and they have a game day selection too. Yeah, so you can go in there and find your favorite team, your favorite sport, your favorite game, and check it out. It's Rhoback, and we want you to go there, and we want to use the code DLLS30 for 20, I should say, DLLS20 for 20% off your first order. 20% is pretty significant. Buy more, save more. Thank you.
Do you tell your wife that shopping strategy?
No. She doesn't need to know that. She's got that one figured out. Yeah.
You ever heard of girl math?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard it. Like, she's like, I didn't spend $50 today. I saved 20. Yeah, right. I'm like, well,
you do the math?
Yeah.
Well, another way to girl math is with the floors. I have yet to do the home purchasing stuff, but I will one day. And I know my first stop is going to be with Empire Today. They have been around as long as I've been alive. I do remember the jingle. I think one day we should get Jeff to sing it.
We'll get him
Since
to sing
he's
it.
not here, we can put him on that. He
Right.
can't argue. But Empire Today, it is a one-stop shop for flooring. They only do flooring. So you're not getting like a Shohei Ohtani hitting and pitching.
Yeah.
You're just getting a solo with Empire Today. So they are the best in the business when it comes to floors. I imagine there's a couple companies that try to say that they're the lowest price or the best quality or things like that, but it's just not true. Empire Today is just across the board. They've proved time and time again to be the number one resource and go-to for your flooring needs. And you know what Miss Kathy would love about Empire Today?
Tell me.
If she's having a slow Sunday, Saturday morning, wants to just relax, drink her coffee, put her feet up.
Yeah.
You guys need new floors. She can just take out her phone and do like a virtual tour.
Yeah.
And it can, figure out what kind of flooring would look best in your home.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, these smartphones just make it so easy. So it's easy. It's affordable. Speaking of affordable, we have a $350 coupon for you if you use the code DLLS. All you have to do is go to empiretoday.com/DLLS and you can schedule a free in-home estimation. So that's a lot of perks right there.
Yeah, it really
Coupon,
is.
free in-home estimate. I mean,
yep.
Go ahead.
Save you
check it
some
out.
money, get a free estimate. It's all fantastic, and it's all Empire Today. And we're going to be, I think, not that distant future in the market. So we're going to be looking at Empire Today ourselves. So there's Jeff Wilson joining us now from Globe Life Field. Jeff, at the start, I just said I don't want to talk about this one. This is one of those games you don't like to talk about, but then the bosses came in and said, we have to. That's what they're paying us to do. Now that you're here, I'm actually much more interested. I want to hear, how does Boch feel? Did you talk to Rocker? Give us a bit of a lowdown here.
Yeah, John, I'll take it from here. You can take the rest of the day off.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm out of here, everybody.
Yeah. We did talk to both of them. The Rangers were, they could tell that Rocker's stuff, as Bruce Bochy says, was a little light, meaning the velocity was off. The sharp slider wasn't as sharp. We then talked to Kumar, and he said that he was trying to slow himself down, that he was that's why there was a decline in the velocity. He was trying to get in the strike zone, get his command down, and it never happened. So in the first inning there, or maybe it was the second, when Mike Maddox went out to visit him, Mike Maddox said, "Hey, pick it up a little bit here," and he did. Kumar did. Those next two pitches seemed to have some more purpose to him, but then he couldn't get out of that mode. So he said it was a mistake. He said he's not hurt. Everything's fine. I think it was a good learning day for him. When he's at his best, he said it's when he's on the attack, and he wasn't doing that for whatever reason. He even said the second start of my career isn't probably the best time to try that. So they're going to be learning curves, learning pains, speed bumps with these guys, even as good as Kumar Rocker is. And despite lasting only 3 innings and throwing 71 pitches, he really should have gotten out of there with only 1 run allowed. As it is, he allowed 2. One of them was unearned. So he did battle. He made pitches when he had to, but it wasn't probably didn't match the hype that came along with it.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of people forget that he is coming off of Tommy John surgery. Obviously, he's fine if he's playing at the major league level, but it is something to consider, because that's why he's on a pitch limit as well. He's not going to go out there and throw more than 75, at least in the first 2, because of that. And you're just going to have days where velo is down a little bit, and it's because of, something that he's endured and been working on this season.
Yeah, it's true. And Jeff, to your point about working out of jams, he stranded 2 runners in each of the 3 innings that he was in there. So it could have been, obviously, it could have been a lot worse. And as you mentioned, that ball got Zeke, kind of ate him up and got past him there to allow for that 1 unearned run. So that is, and did he talk about that, sort of fighting through some of those things and coming out on a positive side in many cases there?
Yeah, he did. But to Abby's point, though, she's right about the Tommy John. It's something that Bruce Bochy talked about. These guys have that. They'll run into it. Tyler Mahle ran into it and ended up on the injured list. We're not talking injured list for Kumar, but it does happen. It happens to the best of these guys who come back from Tommy John. Maybe it happens tomorrow to Jacob deGrom. Maybe he's a little bit short on velocity. Who knows? But to your point, yeah, he did talk about how he was able to battle a little bit. Carson Kelly, we talked to Carson Kelly, and he said Rocker made pitches when he had to. And, the 5 strikeouts are an indicator that yeah, the stuff when it was in the zone was good. And, he got some big strikeouts when he needed them. And that goes to making the pitch or whatever it is. But, not an awful day, just not like it was last Thursday, and not like it's going to be going ahead as he goes through this career. But everybody's going to have a day like this.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, the strikeout of Jimenez got me cheering. That was his 5th. 4.5, baby. I got my sleeper bet. You dang right.
Dinner's on
I
Rats
hit
tonight.
that one, but the offense kind of let me down. I was hoping that Josh Smith would have extended the game there in the 9th to get Wyatt Langford in at bat. But yeah, so my sleeper bet did not hit. But we can talk about that a little later. Nobody hit on the Rangers.
No,
it was
I was
almost the
that was
a week.
Game today. But speaking of the strikeouts, so Rocker through 2 outings has 12 strikeouts total. That is tied for the 2nd most ever by a Rangers pitcher in their first 2 starts with the club. So,
yeah.
Again.
And Jeff, Abby made a great point at the beginning of the show too. Just the fact that, look, no matter what stuff he had today, Rocker, he's facing major league hitters. And they'd seen him now once, granted not in person, but on film, on tape, and they kind of had a plan. They executed it very well. He threw 27 curveballs. They only swung at 7 of them. So, tip your cap to them for putting together a pretty decent game plan.
Yeah, the Mariners, I think, lead the American League in strikeouts. So they're I don't know if they're free swinging or what they are, but they're not the most patient club around. The Blue Jays are kind of toward the lower part in the American League in team strikeouts, and they probably, these these scouts get paid pretty well to make assessment like this, and they're probably like, if you see a slider, make sure it's in the strike zone, and it wasn't. So he was getting Kumar was getting behind in counts, and then having to throw over the middle of the plate. He didn't give up but 2 hits, but still they were putting the ball in play at times. And when you put the ball in play, errors happen, like what happened to Ezekiel Duran. And the Rangers capitalized on that Tuesday night by putting the ball in play and forcing the Blue Jays into a couple errors. So gotta have command, gotta be in the strike zone. And Kumar seems to realize that. It seemed like that was his objective today, even though he sacrificed a little velocity to get there. So I think next week, before his next start, which is going to be Thursday at Oakland, if everything stays on track, it's going to be the biggest crowd he's ever pitched in front of.
That's right.
So there'll be some juices flowing for that one too. So it'll be a good test for him to again calm the nerves and just see, let it eat, so to speak. Let it eat and see what happens.
Yeah, and that Thursday, if you hadn't been paying attention, that Thursday game in Oakland is the final game at their stadium, and it is expected to be a madhouse there. So that'll be another interesting test for Kumar Rocker that day. Jeff, a question in the chat from Natalie: why wasn't Young in the game? I know that Bruce Bochy, we talked with him yesterday about just what a nice job he's doing massaging the batting order at this time of year. This was just a day for Josh, right?
Yeah, part of this month and building for the future is making sure guys get rest and can avoid an injury or whatever, and I'm sure Josh will be in there this weekend. We saw him walk around the clubhouse. He didn't seem to indicate that anything was wrong. We didn't ask the manager about it just because we just probably, hopefully correctly assumed that Josh Young is healthy. So not sure it would have made much of a difference. It might have made a difference on that play though, in the third.
Yeah, no doubt. What else? You got anything over there?
We're getting to Wyatt.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it.
Wyatt Langford, somebody asked a great question in our pregame show. Is Wyatt Langford, with the success of September, now entering the Rookie of the Year conversation? I think at first we were like, no, he didn't do it long enough. But then Rad's got to crunching numbers, and it's looking a little bit better than we thought. Let's
take a look at the list of candidates right now. And here's your, basically your top 5. And it depends on which service you look at as to how these guys are ranked. Someone was in the chat saying they thought that they saw Austin Wells at the top today. It is interesting, as well as the Yankees are playing. They do have 2 rookies that are in the conversation. Colton Krauser for the Orioles, who had a big walk-off today, by the way. They beat the Giants in walk-off fashion today. And then, you've got the Red Sox, Abreu, and Wyatt, right? And in some order, all of those guys go. How do you judge them? One's a pitcher, 4 of them are hitters. How do you judge them? Well, go to WAR. I mean, WAR can be one. Now, WAR is also a subjective stat in some ways because different services figure the WAR, wins above replacement, in different ways. But if you're just looking at the WAR figures for each of these, Wyatt Langford has the best WAR among the position players. Now, Luis Gil has a 3.6 WAR. So that's the highest of everybody. But among the position players, it is Wyatt Langford at 3.1. And then the other guys are all 2.9 or lower. So, Wyatt's numbers, he's got 117 hits. He's hitting 254. He's got the 12 home runs now, and he's come on strong of late. Obviously, Austin Wells is a catcher. You're not going to expect quite as much offense out of him, but 80 hits, and he's got a 244 average. And then you've got 113 hits for Krauser with 20 bombs and a 244 too. So, these are some of the guys, and it depends who you look at. But I believe, Jeff, that Wyatt Langford has at least gotten onto the podium with this strong stretch, and especially if he continues or improves upon it.
To answer the question, WAR, what is it good for? Apparently, it's good for Wyatt Langford in the Hall of Fame ballot, or not the Hall of Fame balloting, the Rookie of the Year balloting, the Hall of Fame, God dang it, Rookie of the Year.
We're getting really ahead of ourselves.
Holy crap! You only put 3 guys. It's only top 3. MVP you list 10, Cy Young you list 5, manager and rookie you do 3. So he's got to get into the top 3. And you're right, WAR is a big determining factor in all of this. Voters, as plugged in as they are, they don't see these guys, or they don't realize that they're rookies when they do see them. So Wyatt's going to do okay. I think that list should have Mason Miller on it from the A's closer. I think he has a chance to potentially make some noise. Lawrence Butler has a chance with the A's also. So it's kind of there isn't a clear cut winner. And Tanner Bybee last year, Gunnar Henderson clearly was the guy. But I don't know that it's. I think it is wide open, so that's going to help Wyatt. And no matter who's doing the WAR, whether it's Baseball Reference or Fangraphs, it's going to benefit Wyatt. His base running really helps him out in that regard. And so we'll see. I do think Krauser's got a good shot, just because he's playing for a winning club and has the 20 homers. 20 is a good number. 20 is a good number. So, and it's a hyped farm system in Baltimore. So we'll see. But yeah, a good finish is putting Wyatt in a good position.
Yeah, and if you look at his workload too, we talked about that pretty in depth earlier this week, but Wyatt Langford, over 3 years in college and minor leagues, played 178 total games. This year alone, he's played 145 games. So for him to make these adjustments going through a major league season, for the first time, I know he had a little bit of that injury, missed a few games. Jeff, is hamstring, correct?
Yeah, left hamstring.
Hamstring. The workload, the balance, we've talked about that too, but it's also just going to take him some time to get these things to click. It seemed like September is when it really solidified, at least numbers wise. He's hitting 344 this month, 16 runs scored in 16 games. So he's figuring, today he was unsuccessful, but he's figuring out a way to be valuable in every single game. And I think that's the best thing that you can ask from a rookie.
No doubt about it. And he has continued to show poise. He's continued to make adjustments. And Bruce Bochy yesterday, Jeff, was talking about exactly what you brought up when we were on the show yesterday, which was he's figuring out he doesn't need to take quite as many swings every day, right? And the next challenge is the offseason. Boch talked about that too, right? Is to figure out what he needs to do to best position himself to be completely ready and healthy for another 162 next year. And that may take more than one offseason.
Well, and this is his first offseason after a full season. So it's going to be a different offseason for him compared to last year when basically he played until the end of September with the AAA team, but it still was only 168 at bats. And then he was here as the part of the Stay Ready group, as the Rangers were calling it, a group of young players who they were keeping active at Globe Life Field during the postseason in case one of them was needed. So it'll be different this year in that he's going to be sore. I mean, he has things that need rest, and he's going to take some time. You need to take some time, but then they'll have a plan for him, and they'll monitor him. They'll check in on him. They'll make sure that he's doing the right things. But I don't think they have to worry about work ethic. He's a hard worker. They might have to worry about slowing him down, like we've been talking about here. So I think though that that he's going to learn how to get ready for a season. It seems like he's done a pretty good job of it this last offseason, but I'm sure there's some things that the Rangers are going to want him to tweak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
yep.
We talked to Boch yesterday, and we said, you've seen a lot of great rookies. Is there anybody that you could kind of compare him to? And you mentioned he was poised.
Yeah.
Well, guess who he said?
Posey. Yeah.
Mr. Posey.
Yeah.
So a little play on words there. But no, Wyatt Langford, he has a very bright future. And you know what I think he needs, Rads?
Tell me.
Some Shady Rays sunglasses.
There is no doubt about that. We all do. We're in this beautiful building, this old building, right at the south side of Victory Plaza, which is a great place to be. Not today, maybe, but especially after a victory. This is a great place to be anytime it is. We've got these big windows. One of the reasons it's so bright in here, I swear to you, there are days when that sun's setting right over there that we could wear our Shady Rays glasses right in here. They would help, and I might.
Well, yeah.
I might. I may haul off and wear them as we get to the time of the year when the sun starts to set a little more quickly, right?
I thought you were going to say it was so bright because I was sitting next to you.
That's true. Well, that's always the case. You glow, right? You reflect the sun, but I'll say
Jokes.
this: the Shady Rays is the answer here, right? These are beautiful sunglasses. First of all, they're so cool. You see down there on the bottom of the screen just one of the many designs they have, but what you can't see on that design is the fact that they're dang near indestructible. They're fantastic sunglasses. They're polarized. They are, so easy to care for.
You can get
prescription sunglasses as well. And I'm so excited to have you have the opportunity to get them. And they don't break the bank. This is the beautiful thing about Shady Rays. They're beautiful sunglasses that will look every bit as hip and cool and stylish and be every bit as safe for you as any of the others out there, and I promise you it won't break the bank. So go to Shady Rays and get your 35% off the polarized sunglasses. Use the code DLLS and make sure we get credit for it. We will appreciate that, and you will appreciate Shady Rays.
35's a fun little discount. Normally you just see 20.
Yeah, it's big.
So,
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, big weekend ahead. Rangers just announced the starters for this weekend. You got DeGrom.
Yep.
You got Scherzer.
Yep.
And you got Heaney. And guess what? You're going to want a game ticket.
No doubt. And the games are all either sold out or very close. I know that. Yeah.
So you need to go to Game Time because that is your one-stop shop for game tickets. Live events, sporting events, music, concerts, or comedy shows. I live across the street, and sometimes if I have a night off and I hear some noise outside the AAC, I'm like, who's performing?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Travis Scott or Future, or I like stand-up comedy a lot. So,
do you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just take a look, and it's like $50 for a ticket. So I will go and make a night worthwhile. Game Time Picks is a new feature that you can find your tickets easier. So they not only have the lowest prices, but they also have this panoramic view, and you can make sure that you're getting the best seat in the house for your dollar amount. So we have a cool little graphic here that's going to show you what Game Time looks like. It's super user friendly. I think anybody could quickly log on here, find a great seat at a great price, and go to a Cowboys game, go to a Rangers game, Mavericks game, Stars games, all the things. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for 20% off.
It's amazing. I don't believe I've ever seen a stand-up comic in a venue that big. My son recently went. I think he went to the guy that doesn't wear a shirt, Bert Chrysler, I think is his name. And I
just call him No Shirt Guy.
Yeah, the No Shirt Guy. And I was like, it was in the AAC, and he goes, it was fantastic. Not a bad seat in the house, and you can hear him and you can see him, and it's not like he paid big bucks for really close up seats. It's amazing that these stand up comedians are drawing
stand up comedy is where it's at.
That kind of crowds right now. I've enjoyed recently. Have discovered the guy Nate Bargatze, also a very fun guy to watch. And anyway, so that's a little comedy talk for you. But I had no idea they were selling out the likes of the American Airlines Center Center these days, but they
Oh, I
are.
mean,
And Game Time's a
they'll
great place
sell
to
out.
go get them.
Barkley,
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah,
It's good
it's
stuff.
fantastic. So let's get into this weekend series, Jeff, a little bit, because it's the final one for the Rangers this year, and for me, that's always a bit of a sad time when there's no more baseball games that we get to go and watch, and we in our world we don't get to go talk to Boch and hear his interesting stories and talk to the players and all that. But it's a big series too, in that. There, especially the first 2 days when you've got DeGrom and Scherzer going, both coming off of the injured list, one coming off Tommy John surgery. There is a lot to look at and a lot to look for this weekend.
Sure, and I think the interesting little wrinkle is that these are the pitching matchups last weekend in Seattle, so the hitters are going to be pretty familiar with the three Rangers pitchers and vice versa. And so the Rangers hitters will have to adjust, and Mariners hitters have to adjust, and Jacob DeGrom, Max Scherzer, and Andrew Heaney are going to have to adjust there. Now, I don't know that Jacob DeGrom does a lot of adjusting. When he's on, and his stuff is just great. But maybe pitch sequencing changes a little bit, something like that. But as for Jacob DeGrom, 60 pitches will be his limit, kind of like last week. He wanted to get through 5 on that last week. I'm sure that's his goal again this week, but probably 4 innings if we're being realistic here. And again, it's just him getting back into the swing of things and getting the feel for his pitches and making sure the shapes on them are good as he goes into the off season, so he knows what to work on. For Scherzer, again, it's an audition for next season. Make sure he stays healthy, and he wants to be able to show all the teams that he can help. And of course, he wants to help a contender. He's going to be 41 next year. He doesn't want to go pitch for the White Sox. So I think that it's big for him. And then Heaney's already, he's in the catbird seat. I think he's done enough this year to get at least a 2-year deal, I would think, next year. And I don't know that it'll be with the Rangers. We'll see what happens and what shakes out on the pitching side. But the Rangers should have a chance in all 3 games. These guys should give them a chance. And again, I would suspect that Jack Leiter is pitching tomorrow or Saturday behind DeGrom or Scherzer.
Yeah, were you at all surprised that he didn't go today? Boats told you and told the collected media before the game that certainly Jack was available and a possibility today, and instead he goes with, after, Kumar went only 3, which was probably a little bit of a surprise to everybody. But, it goes with Pennington and then Festa, Chafin, and then Garabito. But any surprise at all that wasn't a good spot for Jack Leiter?
Maybe on the surface, but they also want to give him enough time to get ready. They want him to be able to treat it like he's a starter and getting ready as a starter would, or as he normally would, or at least as close to it as possible without being to go onto the field and do his warm-ups. So I think that if they had known Kumar was only going to last 3 innings, then they would have had a spot for him. But I think they were anticipating that he would get a little further along. I guess they know then that DeGrom will not go more than 4 innings tomorrow in all likelihood. So maybe that's the spot for Leiter. And, he needs to pitch. No questions about that. We talked about it in the pregame. It's an important time for him as well. Just getting his innings, getting his reps. It doesn't matter if they're in relief or as a starter. Of course, he's going to be a starting pitcher and be a candidate for the rotation next spring. But I want to see him get out there and see what it looks like, and watch him continue to get better. He has every time he's started since he came back. He was better against the Yankees than he was the White Sox, and better the next time out than he was against the Yankees. And so progress, this is development time. The Rangers are out of it. I think the loss eliminated them today. I believe they're officially out of contention for the West. So just go ahead and again, not mail it in, but really focus on development for 2025.
Yeah, and that's a very valid point, Jeff, because I literally talked to Jack about that yesterday. And I was like, I know that your routine is huge to you. Are you super pressed now that you're in the pen? And he was like, actually, I kind of have more time, but it's weird. You got to space it out. You don't want to tax the body, all those things. So, I think that it would make more sense if he anticipates, hey, with the 4th inning. That's kind of my go time. So yeah, makes sense. to
Yeah,
me.
and just logic. If logic prevails, again, I don't think anybody was really expecting with a 75 pitch limit. You just figured Kumar would go a little longer into this game, a little deeper, I should say.
Yeah.
In the game, he threw 71 pitches. But if you're going to try to get Jack, give Jack that time, you just may not have started him early enough in this case. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And and that's a situation where you will, if you go to the games this weekend, you'll see Jack Leiter, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's on Saturday. You'll have an opportunity to see him, one of the great young pitchers in the Rangers organization, as well as two of the guys who are just a little bit longer in the tooth, but are also really fun to watch, and that's Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. All right, we've got more to talk about. We're going to get into some of the races and a big accomplishment, a huge accomplishment that was achieved in Major League Baseball today.
By the
But
unicorn.
first, Abs, I think you're going to tell us about becoming a diehard, yeah?
A diehard, yeah. If I could persuade any of you guys to become a diehard, I would do my best. And somebody had a funny comment, said there were a few people in the chat. I think it was like 5 when we first started, and somebody was like, "Why aren't there 5 likes?" Like,
Thank you.
Like you should.
Thank you.
You should chime in. So I love whoever said that. Maybe Elijah can find the comment, but that's really the name of the game here. We want to connect with you guys. We want to talk to you. I mean, we did a whole segment on a question that somebody asked in the pregame show. So, this is a unique thing for us because we can.
There you go, Edward.
We can partner with you. We can have conversation. We can chime in. Super chats are a new thing that we are really excited about. But upgrade your fandom, become a diehard because you're joining a community. And that's really why you like sports.
Right.
Yes. How many times do you see somebody wearing a Luka jersey? Like, you just want to go give him a high five. Maybe you don't know anything about him, but he's a Luka fan, so you like him. Same with us. So join the fandom. You get a free t-shirt of your choice every single year. You get access to premium diehard level content, which Jeff is now pushing out from the Rangers side of things. We've got a great team covering the Cowboys, the Mavericks, the Stars, as well, TCU. I think some WNBA is going to be in the mix, and you get 20% off of all merch and events. We're going to have some fun events.
Yes.
Spring training's been thrown around here. Yep. I'm packing my bags because I'm going to need to go to the desert then.
No doubt about it. It's so much fun, and it would be fun for you. Believe me, if you've never been, you want to be at spring training because you are like walking the same path that the players do to those fields, especially out to the backfields. And so especially if you go early when they're going out to do stretch and to do their PFP and then all their warm up exercises beforehand. I mean, you could walk right next to Jacob deGrom or Jonah Heim or whoever your favorite guy is, Wyatt Langford or Josh Young. So spring training's awesome. And you're right. And we're gonna, if you go out there with our trip, we're gonna do something real cool in addition to all that.
Yeah. So join today at alldlls.com/join/diehard.
Yeah. And Abs mentions the shirts. You get a shirt, a new one every year, every time you sign up for it. That is all a part of our merchandise. And we call it the merch. But merchandise, and we're beginning to sell that like hotcakes. And the cool thing is, it's not like they just throw you like the crappiest looking shirt if you become a diehard. You get to pick. And the more, Abby's noticed this with the other regions that have this. So we're in Denver, Phoenix, Chicago, Philly, and now Dallas. And in the other places where they've been a little bit more established, more choices.
You get more swag.
More cool shirts, more swag. So keep buying our merchandise, and we'll see a lot more options and a lot more cool. I think what you find is like she sees the one in Chicago with the deep dish pizza, right on the hoodie. I think it was you said, yeah. Well, they'll have barbecue here. They'll have all kinds of stuff here. So it's store.allcitynetwork.com. That's where you go to buy the merch. The shirts begin shipping as soon as Monday. I think I've got a couple coming my way as of Monday. Jeff's got 4 on
basically as the whole store
in the shopping cart already. So join us wearing the merch, and then again, we're all part of that same community, same thing, and we'll have
family.
We'll have that knowing nod when we see each other. We look forward to that knowing nod with you. as long as you're wearing our DLLS merch. Thanks very much for that. There's Jeff. We wanted to talk about Shohei. He got to 50 steals today, Jeff. I don't think there's any doubt, right, that he's going to get to 50-50. I mean, there's enough season left. He's going to hit a couple of bombs yet.
You'd think. And it'd be a pretty cool accomplishment if you're a baseball fan and a numbers guy. And, baseball is built on its numbers. So it would be the first time something like that's happened. And just another remarkable accomplishment for him. And then, as we talked about here the other day, hey, just be an offensive player, don't worry about pitching anymore. If you can do 50-50, shoot, just go out there and do that. And, cause he does, when you're a pitcher, a starting pitcher, you've got to throw your bullpens and do your pitching stuff too in between starts. And so he works harder than anybody else. So if he has the motor to do it, okay, good for him. But, if he sees, holy crap, I'm a 50-50 guy because I don't pitch anymore, well, hey, maybe he starts to like that. Now, I'm sure the Dodgers didn't sign him for $700 million or whatever it was to just be a DH. So I'm sure they want to see him pitch at least a season or two. But, boy, how appealing is it to have a guy that can hit 50-50 and don't have to worry about him getting hurt? Maybe a hamstring or something, but nothing with the arm. So, pretty cool though to do that.
Is our buddy Sam still in the Japanese media contingent, and is he out there following Shohei like he did you?
He's still there. He's on the Ohtani beat. So
yeah,
he went from Darvish to Ohtani, and loves seeing Sam in spring training, and whenever the Rangers face the Dodgers, he's probably one of my favorite guys. Just love Sam, and talk about a guy who loves barbecue. Sam Onoda loves barbecue.
Yeah. And we'll have to check with him and see. I wonder if, and it's a hypothetical, like until somebody asks him, and maybe Sam would. I wonder if, like, what Shohei is accomplishing or about to accomplish this year would be enough to dissuade him. And like, to your point, they gave him so much money, maybe there's no way to dissuade the Dodgers from having him do both. But I wonder if a 50-50 season, you have to think that's not possible if he's pitching. And would that sort of a significant accomplishment dissuade a guy from continuing to do both?
I don't know. He's very aware of who he is and what he's accomplishing. And so, as Misty's saying here on the chat, she thinks he'd rather go 30-30 and pitch than go 50-50. Maybe, she might be onto something there. When he's a two-way player, if he's doing well on the mound and at the plate, he's a shoo-in for MVP, just based on WAR and the fact that nobody else is doing what he's doing. So she might be right there, but he's to do what he's doing is just pretty special. And again, it's because part of it is because he hasn't had to worry about pitching and do the stuff between starts, the extra stuff that nobody else has to do. But I don't know. Yeah, Sam might have some insight to that, but I think Sam would agree that Shohei Ohtani likes being Shohei Ohtani, and if the best version of that is pitching,
I want to be Shohei Ohtani.
I do too. $700 million, yeah.
But the interesting thing about it is that he's yet to play and make a postseason appearance, and actually he has the most regular season games played among active players, because obviously there's Trout, without a postseason appearance, and it's 865 games. I mean, it's insane. Like, you want to see this kind of guy at the highest level, under the brightest lights, biggest stage. So I am very excited to watch Mr. Ohtani.
Yeah, and obviously that is going to change this year. And Jeff, I remember, as you do, when Michael Young, was finally able to make the postseason, and similar numbers, and it was just such a great relief for him, and really for those of us who covered him and liked him so much. It was great for us too, to know that Michael Young was in that back in 2010 was finally going to be able to go to the postseason.
Yeah, the guys who are respected in the game, like Michael Young was, the guys who do amazing things like Ohtani does, and so did Michael Young. He won a batting title and was a 7-time All-Star. these are guys who um, get awards that from their peers because of how much they're respected. And so, I remember Torrey Hunter saying how happy he was for Michael Young, and at the time the Angels and the Rangers were pretty bitter rivals, but a respected guy like Torrey Hunter, who had been in the postseason, recognized that it was a big achievement for Michael. So you need, and you want to. I mean, it's the biggest stage. You want to see baseball's best players on the biggest stage. Mike Trout's only been in the postseason once, and I think he went like 0 for 12. It was a 3-game sweep to the Royals, I think, in 2014, and he hasn't been back. And it's a shame. And of course, all the injuries and whatnot have been a shame too. But you want to see these guys who are the best playing on the biggest stage, see how they handle it, and that will be something like Shohei Ohtani. I mean, the Dodgers are in a pretty good spot to make the postseason, so it'll be fun to see how he handles that. And really, he's going to be facing the best pitchers at that time. I'm sure he's going to be heavily scouted. It'll be interesting to see how he fares. I mean, these are the best guys going against the best lineups. If it's in a cold weather city, that could be a factor that could limit Ohtani, but at least want to see it, and I think ultimately he chose the Dodgers in part because he thought they could take him to the postseason for the first time.
Yeah. And a few storylines for Thursday as we get into postseason, because when the Rangers are off, we're a baseball podcast. We're going to be talking about the postseason, and we're very excited to do that. But the Brewers clinched last night, and it was actually pretty funny. Jackson Churro's not 21, so they had their own little designated celebration cart for him of non-alcoholic beverages, which is great. And then actually the Guardians just clinched the AL Central. So they had a win over the Twins. And then the Phillies, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win over the Mets tonight. The Dodgers can clinch a playoff berth with a win in Miami, and they are in the top of the fifth now, 7-1. So
yeah, and by the way,
promising.
Shohei's got another steal in that game. He's 3 for 3.
Ridiculous.
He's added another steal, so he's at 51. And speaking of that celebration that the Brewers helped stage last night, Jeff, we remember too from those 10 and 11 teams where Josh Hamilton was out for obvious reasons, not going to participate in any of the champagne or beer-soaked celebrations, and the Rangers always had a special one for him. And I know, that's one of the things that made him know and made us know what a part of their family he was.
Yeah, and C.J. Wilson also didn't drink, so C.J.
That's
got
right.
sprayed with Sprite or whatever it was they did, and they did it on the field for Josh, celebrated out there to make sure he got the to celebrate and partake without getting doused in alcohol and wanting to rush off to the nearest bar. So, that's part of the reason why he succeeded here, was because the Rangers were so receptive and understanding of the battles he's going through. I mean, addiction is a disease, and I'm sure we all know people who have been addicted to alcohol or drugs, and it's a battle, and it's ugly, and every day, one day at a time. Every day is a battle, and he had some slips along the way, fell off the wagon, if you will, infamously enough, and so it's hard, but that I'm gonna guess though that Jackson Chourio had some champagne.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they were carding him.
I'm gonna guess that he got a little alcohol in his system.
Yeah.
But Josh, he's from every indication, is that he's still doing well on the sobriety front. His parents are near him all the time now, and so good for him. It's a battle. One of my favorite guys. He's he gave me the 4-homer game in Baltimore. I was fortunate enough to be at that. Still haven't seen a perfect game. That's the last thing I need to see is a perfect game, and then I can head off into the sunset.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was really a joy covering the guy. It was, and I do love I love Misty's 1985, her comment about the great Ernie Banks, who went 2,528 games.
My goodness.
With no postseason appearances and loved every day. Yeah, Ernie was the Let's Play 2 guy. Ernie Banks loved every single day, despite the fact that he didn't have the opportunity to play in the postseason. So, obviously, we hope for a guy like Mike Trout that he will get another opportunity after just that one and then this huge drought. And now we know that Shohei Ohtani will get one very soon.
Yep. And probably 30 minutes or so. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So, all right, that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you chatting along. You've kept us going. You've kept us interested. I didn't want to talk about it. Now I don't want to stop.
Yeah, we had fun.
Now I don't want to stop. Jeff,
fun,
you want to
Rats.
just let's continue this in the car rides home.
Fellas, we can do it tomorrow.
Oh, all right, we'll do it tomorrow.
Extra innings. Let's do extra innings.
Yeah, little extra innings.
Have an extra innings podcast.
Yeah, we need to. All right, we'll put that on the radar out here to the salespeople. We'll get a little extra innings podcast. So anyway, Rangers lose it today by a final of 4-0. They do win the series, though, 2-1. The Blue Jays are out, and now it's the Seattle Mariners into town. Tomorrow at 1:00, we will be here on the stream talking with you, and we'll be talking about the Rangers
And
because this is the DLLS Rangers podcast. See you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.